enemy and quelling any internal dissent against the state. The day-to-day life of their citizens is one of productivity, worship to Alstron, the one true goddess of victory and order, and fear of Inquisition squads, tasked with finding false worshippers. At the center of the Empire is the Steel Cathedral, less a holy building and more a massive steel fortress housing an entire city-sized population and garrison. In the northeast, an enormous defensive line stretching from the northern sand-covered coasts of the peninsula to the southern side coast of sheer cliffs and harsh winds. Dozens of miles wide and hundreds of miles long, the area of the two countries' borders is a deadly wasteland of magical destruction and mayhem, in addition to patrols from both sides that shoot first and ask questions second. The war is a defensive one for Calderis against Gadrian and their allies, apparently under the pretense of freeing Calderis' oppressed people and religious subtext. Technically, the war is still on, but no major operations have been attempted by either side in years. Our story begins among the oppressive culture of Calderis, in the northern, often gray-skied port Greywash, where on any day dozens of warships can be seen waiting for their next orders. Above the waterlogged catacombs, an expanded fishing town has struggled to rigidly plan expansions over the past decades among splits of a delta and porous wetlands. Identical to the rest of the Empire, Grey Guards are stationed liberally throughout the city and its many alleyways, accented by the cloaked and hooded enigmatic Inquisitor squads. To draw the attention of such squads is to invite a slow and choking pursuit before execution on the steps of Alstrand's churches. So goes the life of the average citizen, going about their work dutifully, never muttering to themselves, and always paying reverence to Goddess Alstrand. The morning is incredibly cold. It has rained all night, and the temperature dropped to the single digits. That's Celsius for you Americans. The droplets of water that drop from the trees, still retaining moisture, scraggly this close to the northern ocean, vast blue. Two figures, one a little shorter than the other, cloaks drawn about their head, and draconic snouts poking past, make their way through the forest north to the port by the delta. So, Connor and Corin, you guys have been running through the emerald forest that runs around the northern side of Calderis for several days. In between Norcrow, if you guys have the map up, Norcrow and Gemstone Lake, just kind of trying to stay away from the roads as much as you can. Really like things like sewing supplies and just general things to make you not be wearing nothing but rags, and a little bit of maybe fruit might be nice after so much time on the road. And fish, you can already smell the fish this close to the port. You guys have been on the run for 2 months, and it's starting to feel like you need civilization again.
Okay.
And I'm not sure which one between the two of you decided to go to Port Greywash. You guys can decide that.
Probably Connor. He's kind of the leader.
Yeah.
Although they both have high charisma, so they could both be leaders. This is why we fight.
And Corin, you hear a whisper to yourself just kind of as you're walking, kind of thinking if this is the best plan or not. There are plenty of places to escape prying eyes in the next city. And that's just all it says.
Corinne kind of grunts to herself and nods at the wisdom of that.
Connor, your decisions have been based more on instinct. Hearing no whispers and just kind of choosing a course of action and deciding, this is what we're doing now, this is what we're doing now, this is what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
That's about right.
Yeah.
With the rainy season and these kind of cold winds are a precursor to summer, where a lot of the ships will actually head south past the Shearwater Cliffs just to watch for any Gadrian naval fleet trying to take the long way around. So the chances of a lower military presence in Port Greywash are actually quite high.
It's a good time to resupply, Papa.
It is.
You guys get past like the tree line. The trees become less and less common, and more of these tough, scraggly trees. Some of them big, some of them small. The bigger ones tend to have been hollowed out by animals or anything, or vagabonds. And you're probably a good like several hundred feet from the actual edge of the city. No walls on this city, but or on this port, sorry. But the distance between there and where you guys are right now is just a massive, like every step you're going to sink in 4 inches into the muddy, kind of soaking slop of wetland grasses, tenacious mud and clay, and whatever else makes its home.
I think it's time that we got on the road, Papa.
I would agree.
And you slosh your way over. Your boots haven't been in the best repair for the last week or so. As your daughter plots the best course back through, you standing on as tough of ground as she can manage. You guys make your way to the road, and it's still pretty much a muddy mess. But there are drier parts and things where the wagon wheels don't run through as much.
I would think that you were used to the mud after all this time, Papa.
Yeah. But what does it matter? Still not fun. It's sinking into it.
While you're having this conversation, you notice on the roadside just a single fish. Saltwater, freshwater, hard to tell. Must have washed in with a flood. It's just desperately struggling against the mud,
Oh,
not
poor
being able to
thing.
move.
Corinne goes to help the fish.
Slop, 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 slop.
Slosh, swish, swish,
After
slide.
she suggests getting on the road, she immediately, probably 30 feet down, jumps off the road down an embankment
This is Corinne for you.
and picks up the fish. And you just kind of look at your dad. You look around. There's not really any body of water around. It's just more of the same. Kind of flops a few more times.
She makes a nice deep hole in the mud and fills it with water
2 gallons
for
of
the
water.
fish. Hopefully it's enough for the
2
fish.
gallons, I think. Let me double check.
Yes, creates 2 gallons per level.
Oh, it's create water. I was about to say. You still don't know if it's a fresh or saltwater fish, so you might end up killing it.
I might, but at least I'm trying to help.
It's something.
If it's like, I demanded salt water, and it's so salty it just demands its own.
Don't want to get it.
It's a magical fish, obviously.
You see this fish in this slightly dug out area with two gallons of clean water mixing with the muddy water, and it seems like way too big for that. And it kind of pokes against one end and quickly turns and just kind of realizes that it's in a circle, like a very small area, no bigger than a pothole on the road. It just kind of goes in circles and then turns back and goes the other way. And goes back the other way.
Like a fish in a bowl. How far are we to the actual water?
The actual water is near the town, so it's still hundreds of feet off.
Hmm.
You got a water skin.
I don't think the fish is gonna fit through the neck of the there.
Fair enough.
I just put the poor thing out of its misery. Not gonna live. Anyway.
That'd be some funky tasting water after a few moments.
Yeah.
Is there a way to connect puddle to get this thing to the ocean?
It's just a sloppy mess, and we're talking hundreds of feet here.
Okay. Well, shit.
You ever like dig in something that's like
Yeah.
the mud itself is almost liquid, so it like
Yeah.
you dig it up and it just kind of reforms a bit, and then you dig it up again and it reforms, and you might make like a small path along the top, but really it just kind of evens out.
Yeah. Why are we having an existential crisis over a fish?
I'm not. You are.
Well, yeah, Corinne is absolutely like she. I don't know why fish, but she wants to save this fish for something. Do I know? Let me roll
The
again.
wet and the muck is just sinking into your boots as you stand there looking at this fish.
1 second. That's
Connor, roll a spot check.
Spot check. Okay.
nice.
Dang.
Well, you watch your daughter wrestle with her own morality with this fish. You look back towards the center of the country. I actually have to have my own map up here. Hold up.
I'll make a little.
Yeah, back towards Norcrow, and you see a wagon drawn by 2 horses taking up about 75% of the road coming your direction. Iron banding on the wheels, armed guard.
Sounds
It's normally
fancy.
good moving.
But Papa, if we leave, she's obviously frustrated. Fuck.
And you feel a calming and just kind of just hand touch your shoulder, and a voice just says, "Worry not, there will be many more lives to save."
She sighs and nods and turns away from the fish to follow her papa. She's obviously not happy about it, but there's really nothing that she knows she can do about it.
So you leave it in a prison of your design to spend the rest of its days.
That's what I wanted to know. Do I know when the next? Oh, I guess I don't know when the next tide is. Oof.
And the tide doesn't usually go this far in. Like, it's just sometimes the water, everything gets so wet that this part is almost part of the ocean.
I was gonna say, if the tide goes this far in, it better be a floating city here.
It's just so wet, so moist. Kind of wetlands that lead to kind of the edge of out into the ocean. So there's probably some kind of higher ground towards the ocean.
Yeah.
So you leave the fish and you begin walking. About 200 feet away from the city, you can see several guards just kind of posted along the road. And the wagon passes you at this point. I assume you don't stand in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
So you get off to the side and they just kind of nod at you as they go past. And you can hear just kind of the rumbling of crates in the back. And one guy sitting with a crossbow. Actually, it's not a crossbow, it's an arbalist. So it's about over 6 feet long.
Oof.
With more steel than wood. And it's just kind of cranked back. He's just kind of resting it on the top of the cart and off his shoulder. Just kind of nods at you as he's passing and looking around the field for any danger.
Big guns. I wonder what they're rallying for this time.
Who knows?
Guess they continue on in the wake of this cart.
The guards
Far
don't.
enough back that they don't piss off the guards.
Yeah, the cart stops briefly at the guards up front, and the guards kind of have a conversation. You can hear laughter as you guys are kind of approaching. They point kind of the direction that the guard wants that the cart needs to take, and kind of share one final joke before they part. Immediately, both going back to everyone going back to business faces. As they kind of notice the next oncomers were you guys that they've seen coming for a little while now. These strange steel glaives that they hold, with a blackened kind of blade for the most of it. guards call out to you as you approach. Welcome to
Hello.
Greywash.
Thank you.
From where do you hail?
1 second, I gotta pull up the map. We hail from just outside of Norcrow.
Ah, business in the city?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
He's like looking at your overly like worn down attire.
We've not had the best of times, and we're looking for work, looking for supplies.
It's been quite a journey.
Well, what happened? Maybe we can help. And there's nothing in their voice. Make a sense motive check, actually.
This motive?
Sense motive, yeah.
Sense mod.
Where are you?
My dice hate me today. They always hate me.
Where are you?
On the skills page.
Skills alphabetical order.
There you are.
Oh, rip.
Oof.
Ooh.
The
Told
guards
you the
seem,
dice hate us.
the guards seem concerned with what occurred. Maybe they're thinking there's danger nearby, or especially with the way you look, they're kind of concerned that maybe there's monsters or something like that. For all the city's security, the places in between are perilous. Hence the long arbalist that was sitting off the back of that
Yeah.
cart.
Corinne puts on a mournful face, and it's not really faked. She does still mourn for her mother. My mama passed away, and well, we were.
I'm
It's
sorry to
hard-
hear that. And you hear and there's this tone shift. How did she die?
disease. It's been such a wet
roll bluff.
winter. Okay.
Oh god.
Come on, dice. Come on, dice. Yes.
Oh.
Oh,
It's been such a rough, wet. I'm assuming it's spring to winter.
It's coming towards the spring, but on the northern side, it tends to have a
so-
lot more rain coming.
Yeah, gotcha. It's been such a wet winter. It's hard to talk about. I'm sorry.
Well,
But
we're not
we-
here to
we-
interrogate you.
Thank you.
Get into the city and find a warm bed.
Thank you.
thank you, sir.
I just kind of step out of the way.
She.
And at that point, the sole of your shoe is starting to separate from the rest of the body of it,
No,
the bindings that hold it. Like,
Oh no.
you're just like
Jesus.
Yeah, I'm just
Taking on
squashing
water.
through the mud. So she kind of wraps an arm around her papa and leads him into the city. Oh, excuse me. Where's the nearest inn?
straight that way, halfway toward the ports.
Thank
See,
you.
The road. This is one of the main roads of the town. It doesn't really go straight. It kind of bows to the right, but you can still kind of see closer to the end, and just many different side streets. Some of them main, some of them just alleyways. And at some point in the road, it all changes to just cobblestone.
She waves her thanks and follows the road, making sure to stay close to Papa.
So you guys walk down the road. Several people are just going about their business. Nobody's really smiling or, celebrating. There's no bards playing music or, merriment happening. Nobody's drunk in public. And nobody begs. And there are no beggars.
I'm glad I didn't go with any of your ideas, Archie.
Why? I didn't say you could be a beggar.
No, I know that, but how this is presented so far. Oh man,
I mean,
it's not a big deal.
Reed. My ideas were good ideas, damn it.
When you get to the
Alright,
cobblestone part of the street, you notice that the buildings are a little nicer here, less tough, scraggly gray and black wood, more kind of center beams. Several of them are even quite uniform and straight. That's how you can tell the difference between those that are connected to the military in some way, shape, or form, and those that are not. All the good lumber and all the good supplies go to those who help the army.
Papa, how much do we have left?
Not very much.
She digs around in her pocket. I've got 4 silver.
Connor digs around in his as well. He finds 9 silver.
Well, that's just over gold. That should be enough for an inn for the night.
Hopefully.
You'll be able to find work here, no problem.
And as you're walking by a particular, I believe it was like a tailor, you just see this well-uniformed individual. She's decorated with many medals, and she is striking this teenage boy just over and over again as her servant holds an umbrella over her head. Yelling some
Corinne's
problem.
heart just twists. And she's gonna do it unless Connor stops her. She's gonna go over there.
Connor grabs Corinne's shoulder.
Papa, he's a child.
Oh yes, this is true. There are also things we just cannot involve ourselves in.
Then what? Mama would interfere.
And at that point, the servant that's holding the umbrella notices you, taps the noble on the shoulder, and the noble looks in your direction.
You're trying attention.
She looks at the
Short,
scene.
tight, blonde hair, crystalline eyes of blue.
Does she want to speak to my manager?
Chin. No, more like military cut.
Oof. Ma'am,
And she's
ma'am,
looking at you.
oh, what happened? Could I help, perhaps?
And she spits in your direction. She says, "Nothing that can be fixed." And she picks up the squire and just kind of drags him off. Kind of taking one last look just to remember your face.
Connor just gives him a disgusted look.
Corinne sort of lowers her eyes. She doesn't deal well with abuse.
Oh, natural 20? Okay. So
We are not going to be
notices
forgotten.
She notices your disgusted look, and is there a problem? You can see her hand is already gravitating to her side.
Corinne lays a hand on Connor's arm and gives a sort of submissive sort of head gesture to the woman and shakes her head. No, ma'am. We just like to help. And I wish there was something we could do to make everyone happy, that's all.
Only those that deserve happiness get it. Obviously. She just kind of walks away with her servant entourage.
Corinne sighs. We should get to that inn, Papa.
We should.
You get close to the center of town, passing actually the center of town of the port, and there is a giant statue of an armored woman with intricate markings all over it, and the stern look on her face as she doesn't wear a helmet. Long flowing hair. You're not sure what stone it's made out of, but the rain doesn't seem to soak into it at all, just beads down it. And she's looking off, I guess this would be to about, she's looking off to the southeast. Like she's looking off to victory.
Corinne...
At least that's what people say.
Yeah, Corinne kind of absently, it's not obvious like it's obvious that she's not like, ooh, bow down and worship, super devoted, but she does make a to the resident god.
Just kind of bow your head, and a lot of people do that. It's the normal thing to do. It's a lot less normal to say, "Hey, I just want everyone to be happy." That's a very not normal thing to say.
Yeah, I know. Corinne is not normal though, so. And that is one of her motivations, that she does want people to be happy.
Behind the statue is a many steps leading up to a stone building that's fairly large, at least for the size of town. Could probably fit a good 1,000 people inside of it, and that would probably be the church to Lady Elstrad. On the front, right up at the very top step, kind of where the whole platform at the top, there's just a chopping block. From beyond that, down the stairs, just a darkened kind of section of the stairs.
Bloodstain.
Uneven and pervasive, even in the very common rain and gray wash.
Corinne shudders and takes her foot. Who did we lose?
That was,
okay. It was just Herc. She takes her father by the elbow again and goes back to looking for that inn.
Connor makes no real comment about what the things in front of him Daisy's.
What was that, sorry?
Connor doesn't make any real comment about the various things in front of him. The Bloodstone.
Yeah.
Filming.
It's a common sight.
Yeah.
You've seen it in every town. And you eventually find an inn called the Before Vast Inn. And it's a pretty normal looking building. No special woods to speak of. Exceptionally large in terms of like housing area. And there's no one really around as it's the middle of the day.
Corinne, I guess, leads her father into the inn and seeks out the innkeep.
The person working the desk is a smaller, more petite girl, possibly malnourished, probably just into her adult years, and she kind of looks up. Are you looking for a room?
Yes, please. How much are your rates?
2 silver for the shared rooms.
Corinne looks very relieved. Excellent, thank you. Can we have one room for 2 days?
It's a shared room, so there's room for many people.
Oh! Of course. She looks at Connor to make sure that arrangement is all right with him.
You know, it's...
She digs out 2 of the 4 remaining silver and gives it to the girl. This is enough for one night, correct?
Yeah, that will be fine. Well, that's for one bed.
Oh. She hands the other 2 silver over, emptying her pouch into the palm of her hand and handing it over to the girl.
Thank you. It's on the 2nd floor up there. Take this ticket.
Thank you. She takes the ticket. Let me put that in my inventory.
Well, there's 2 of them.
2 tickets. All right, so Connor, put one of them in your inventory.
The ticket is wood. It's been engraved like
Oh, fancy.
It's unlikely that any paper kind of like tickets would last very long in this weather.
Yeah. And wood seems to be a commodity.
If you guys remember running through the Emerald Forest, there was a lot of different lumber camps you had to avoid.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. Does the room come with board?
You can eat on this floor here, and she points around. There's tables that
Thank
some
you.
people are eating at. The food doesn't look particularly incredible. Not that you're used to anything fancy.
It's food.
Better than trail game, and that's about it.
Hey, trail game's pretty fucking good. Just saying.
Trail game for 2 months.
Fair enough. Longer, really.
Yeah.
But 2 months since their last stay in civilization.
So what are you guys gonna do now?
She's going to go ahead and get food for the both of them and set them down in a quietish corner. I need to get my boots replaced at some point in time.
1 copper per meal, so 2 copper.
Oh. I thought it was assumed that I asked if it was included.
Oh, it is not included.
Not included. Okay.
It's 10 copper per silver,
Yes.
Yep. 10.
and it's 2 copper per meal.
1 copper for a person.
So
Okay.
2 for us to eat.
Connor pays for the meal.
So she sets them down. I placed my boots. My soul came off the way into the city. She waggles her sodden boot under the table.
We
It
sadly-
kind of
It
Hmm?
flops like a fish.
I was gonna say it flops around.
We sadly don't have the funds to getting new clothes, Corin.
No, but perhaps I could trade my expertise at healing.
Perhaps.
And there should be blacksmiths aplenty here to work for you as well.
There should.
She falls quiet as she eats her nondescript meal.
It's like pretty tough, like rye based bread, and
I like rye.
and like
You're like shitting all over
kinda
all
like-
of my favorites here, Dyson.
like soup. It's soup that's like watery, but then parts of what should be its base are chunky, so not
Yeah.
very well like mixed
Yeah,
or set.
it's
Which-
food
Yeah, the chunks aren't actual like.
and it's warm.
So while you guys sit to eat your meal, Griff,
Yes.
make a hide check.
A hide check? Okay.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd be hiding here, but okay.
If the DM says you're hiding, you're hiding.
Here you go.
All right. You bring yourself down below the side, the height of a barrel, and you push
Okay.
yourself up against the cold, wet wall. Tuck your knees in, and you hear boots go, dish, 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 stop at the end of the alleyway that you're hiding in, and then dish,
Okay.
dish, 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 away. And you drop the enchantment on your face. Take a deep breath. Bring us a little bit of confidence in your stride, and exit the alleyway.
Okay. That sounds about right. So wait, where am I? Like near the inn?
You're near the middle of town, yeah. Your latest ruse trying to get fish rerouted between 2 different merchants, which you were being paid to do that job by somebody who's a little shadier,
fair
didn't
enough.
go so well, and the guards were called.
Fair enough. This all sounds very plausible so far to what I had planned. Okay. Then
It's getting onto the middle-ish of the day. A little later than that, actually.
I don't know. He might, go start doing his rounds and try to gather some information then.
Sure. Are you asking about anything in particular?
He's just trying to keep up to date.
Sure. At that point, there's a voice that whispers in your ear. You should see if anyone new is in town. Swindle the virgins.
Mm.
They won't see it coming.
Griff doesn't respond. But should I roll for gather information?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Sure, yeah. You heard that there was an armored and armed caravan that came in from Norcrow earlier, along with two very waterlogged and desperate-looking travelers shortly thereafter, and not much other foot traffic on over the wet night. Because it only takes a few days to go in between towns, right? So usually you wait for good weather or stuff like that, unless absolutely necessary. Only like the military are really equipped for that.
Yeah, I don't know. Any fun rumors like I don't know, bandit fleet sinking a Kraken out in the ocean or something?
Well, you also hear there's an Inquisitor squad has come to town.
Oh,
Which they're not always here, but they do come when they have business.
fair enough. All right.
Which is really the message to be like, okay, maybe not try and swindle people in broad daylight anymore.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, that sounds about right. Okay. At that point, then, I guess Griff will probably, after collecting what he can, head to the inn in terms of information.
Worry not, my friend. The Inquisitors are blind before us. And you just kind of feel like this, like when one sports ball player like massages the other one to hype them up.
There.
Kind of like hard but also soft. Just
You
kind
just
of
had
like
something like
press.
non-existent just grab your butt is what I'm hearing.
Oh god.
just like pressing on the shoulders, just like you got this. And at that point, you're kind of walking by the middle of town, and you're by the Temple of Alstron. And go ahead and make a spot check.
Okay. Spot check. Where is that? Oh yeah. Oh, I don't have a modifier for that. Oof. I don't spot anything.
It's
All right.
wet. And
You walk.
rainy.
So
You walk
I was gonna say I'll just do a customary bow at the statue and then keep going.
You do your
So-
best not to run into a wall.
We'll get to that. So
We'll get to
Hey, it wasn't a 1, it was a 2. Man. Come on.
that.
I did actually have my character run into a door jam at one time, but not
Oh, God.
a spot check.
I didn't see that door jam coming at me.
Jumped right out in front of me. Didn't you see it?
Aiden, you're standing outside of the Church of Alstran,
Oh God.
Oh
and
my
you're just
god.
kind of looking up at the building in the middle, as it just kind of, there's a little bit of pitter patter of rain kind of coming back for a second now after the night's rain, and the voice in your head is just kind of talking to you. So much blood wasted. The steps of a false idol. And you're just kind of listening to it, just trying to figure out what the hell you're like a podcast that you don't even know the subject to.
Yeah, kind of out of the
Like-
corner of his mouth, he's like, "I know, but we can't do anything about it right now." Just like to himself. Oh Lord.
Oh my god.
Yeah, welcome
And
to
there's a
Dice and
few
Rolls
people-
High.
There's a few people that, as you're like muttering to yourself, they like perk up and they look at you, and like they don't know what to do. And one person like looks really concerned, and he walks up to you. He's like, "I'm sorry, were you speaking to me?" Like it's just a random person on the street. He's
Aiden,
got a
like,
genuine smile, and he's just trying to be like, "Oh my god, what are you doing?"
like Aiden like looks at him with like and like just has this like big grin. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, my kind sir. I was just really interested and like thinking about how great and wonderful the Lady Alstron is to give us this blessing of a day." And
Make a
just
bluff check.
kinda- Bluff check.
Yeah.
Alright. Yoink.
Of course. Yes, I very much agree with you. I will see you at the sermon tonight. And he just kind of
Indeed.
clasps your hand, and they're cold and clammy, and he like recoils at that. And I'll stand be with you. Just
And
walks about
with
his
you,
business.
and with you.
And with you.
And the other, and with
you.
you, and the two people who were staring and like
Yeah.
seeing how this all went down. Because like if you go to the Inquisitors and say, hey, that guy's not all here, he's got something wrong,
Right.
and you're wrong, they'll kill him and you. So they have to be sure. Like they're like, do I want this guy to die right now? Some people will do it for spite, or they'll try and frame people, or whatever.
Right.
But everyone there was just like, oh my god, like it's like you see somebody run on a red light or like hit and run, and you're like trying to grab their some minor infraction, I guess.
Right.
And you're like, should I grab that license plate? And that person's driving with a beer. That kind of thing. Like,
Right.
but then they go about their business because they're just normal citizens. At that point, you see an acquaintance of yours, somebody you know, and he almost walks right into you actually as you look back.
So,
Well
do
fucking
I-
played.
Do I see him in time? I guess is part of this is my.
Spot check.
Oh god.
See how blind we both are.
There we
Not
go.
blind!
I see everything. I'm having like.
So
a
the
I'm
big
having, like, a
secret
Matrix
of this
moment
plot
right
is
here.
no.
So,
Sorry.
so I had an idea for what I was gonna do, but now that I've got this much spot, I don't know if there's more I should be ready to.
Yeah, I
do.
mean, you could call out to him, or you could.
So basically, like what I was thinking is like I turned just in time
Oh.
to see him about to bump into me.
Yes. Sorry,
And-
I got that wrong. I got that wrong, Griff.
Oh,
you
I'm
would've-
sorry.
You would have dropped your illusion, and then you would have walked out with confidence, right? Because you would have done your business with the illusion on, of course. That only
Yes.
makes sense. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes.
Continue on. That's how you recognized him, because he's not the.
Yeah, so I see him coming, and I see that he's like about to sort of stumble into me, I guess, and I sort of like reach out and grab him, like I'm about to like try to handshake, like as if I was expecting him to be there, right? And so I grab him by the hand, it's like, oh, Griff, it's good to see you. It's like, oh,
Make
so
another spot check.
it's good to see you. Another spot check. Oh god.
No, not you. Aiden.
Oh,
Griff,
sorry.
make another spot
My bad.
check.
I have to make a spot check. okay.
Yes. Just walks right by you.
Oh my god.
Get it in the box.
I
Yeah.
didn't get in the box. Okay, good thing I didn't get in the box. Oh
It's
my
like
God.
rolling off the table. That's a house rule of mine.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh! We have all the
We'll never roll high again this entire campaign.
Same hat.
Uh,
And the rain
Oh, good.
begins picking up a bit more now.
oh, good day to you, Aiden. I was just on the way to the inn.
Good. Any business interest today?
Some travelers have come into town. Might be able to get some information out of them.
Fresh blood.
Oh, God.
Interesting. Shut up, Kyle. Nice to hear. Nice to hear that things are still going along for you.
Well, it's better than, being homeless.
True.
You did. You.
Oh, good.
Oh, sorry. Make a sleight of hand check and continue with your scene. Sorry, Griff.
Oh, I'm making a sleight of hand check?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you picking my pocket already?
No, this is for earlier.
Sleight of hand. Wait, where is that? What would that be under?
Under
skills.
skills.
It's in skills.
Maybe.
Alphabetical.
Okay, sorry. I was looking at the mini screen because I don't. Oh yeah, it wasn't in there for some reason. I thought it'd be in there. Okay.
So you didn't manage to grab like any coins while you were dealing with these two businesses. There
Okay,
was
fair
several
enough.
moments where you thought you might try, but you probably would have gotten caught, so you just held back.
Probably for the best with the.
So actually, it was an
Yes.
entire wash. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyways,
What were we saying?
about the inn, fresh blood in town.
Yeah.
Oh right. So what is this? Who are these newcomers that you've heard so much about?
Honestly, I haven't heard that much about them. They just seem to be apparently very desperate looking.
Gullible,
Doesn't sound like
Easily-
very good marks for you, though.
easily tricked,
No, but
innocent.
I can still get some perhaps information from outside of town from them. Flip it later for a few extra points.
Right, of course, of course. Always the ear to the ground you have, isn't it?
Our eyes and ears and everything else are from the ground. Sorry, I hope those two voices are distinct enough so you guys can tell the difference.
I think I'm starting to work them apart.
Okay, cool.
I'm still trying to figure out which one's mine and which one's his, but I think I'll figure it out.
I think the one
The
talking
gruff
about body.
and guttural, dangerous sounding one is the one for the necromancer. The sort of silky, smooth, sweet talker is yours.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and I ignore.
And
the
mine
last
sounds
one.
kind of like a girl, but if Dyson was trying to say things with a girl's voice.
Yeah. All right.
Which
yeah,
is actually not that bad at.
Griff.
Sorry,
Griff
Dyson.
just says in his head.
I've practiced.
Yeah, Griff just sort of says in his head, "Great job stating the obvious." All right.
The obvious is what we make of it.
All right. Griff will say to Aiden, "Let's get going, shall we?
Indeed,
getting-
indeed.
It's getting wetter out here, and I don't want to ruin another suit."
Of course.
As you're like
lead
wearing
on.
an actual like suit.
Yes.
As you guys are walking, you can probably tell now, hopefully now as the players, how it's very difficult to have these things constantly on you and be able to escape the gaze and scrutiny of the general public.
Yeah.
The Inquisitor's job isn't that hard. It's just
Well, it's kind of even worse since my character actually responds to his on a regular
Yeah.
basis as if it's no deal.
Which is kind of hilarious, and I love
I-
it. Not gonna lie.
feel like you're gonna have to probably bluff your way out of a few ones, and we'll see how that goes, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Oh, jeez.
So you make your way to the inn, and the rain, kind of dies down, picks up again. It seems very indecisive, and the cobblestones are slick, and a very heavily armored carriage just kind of through the cobblestone towards the port.
You said that was a weapon shipment, right?
You don't know.
Okay.
You
but-
just know it was something for the military.
Okay, got it. Alright, well, Griff will just take note of that before we, as we're walking along, I guess.
You guys get to the Before Vast Inn. It's one of the cheaper places in town and central to everything. Because of its large bedding area, there's usually some place to stay as well.
So is it more like a boarding house sort of setup?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few private rooms. There's about 5 that cost 5 gold pieces a night.
Oh.
But then there's 2 very large, like, hostel kind of areas to sleep in,
Okay.
with little dividers. So there's a bit of privacy, but not much.
Alright.
The food is subpar. The company even more so. Really the perfect place for you guys.
Fair enough.
Aiden's like, oh, what a cozy looking place you found for us.
Well,
You've definitely been here before.
yeah, no, I've definitely, I was gonna say we've all definitely been.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, Jesus.
He's being a little sarcastic on that one.
Fair enough. I guess it will be the usual then.
Indeed.
All right.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna,
usual.
Yeah. Which just means probably we're just gonna pay the minimum amount of money to stay.
Right.
Yeah. So when we get inside, there's Are the Dragonborn there, or are they? somewhere else?
There's quite a few people here. There's about a dozen. The young lady working the counter, Basti, you know her name. Then there's about a handful of people that you recognize, the average kind of people. Some of them are just regular laborers. You notice now, you had taken a note about a week ago that a regular that stayed here wasn't here anymore. He just wasn't. He wasn't at the inn anymore, and you'd seen him every day for well over a year at least, like since he started. And you told yourself, "Hey, if I don't see him in a week, maybe I'll think something of that." And now you're noticing him; he's still absent.
Okay.
You think his name? You think his name was Sheer?
Sheer. Did I know him well or no?
I would say you've talked to him maybe a handful of times. It's up to you how many times of those you robbed him.
Oh Jesus. Well, I don't know. I don't think I would have robbed people in this inn that much, to be quite frank, considering
That's
the
fine.
description
Yep.
of it so far.
Yeah. So let's say you talked to him about a handful of times.
Yeah.
He tipped you off about a secret entrance to the catacombs at one point.
Okay.
And those catacombs, you went down there a few times, like twice. Once for your own curiosity and a second time for Aiden's curiosity.
Okay.
I imagine I would have wanted to find a nice place down there to set up shop for a while.
And you found that for most of it, there's water like up to your calves, and at the worst of it, water above the knees. Pretty much everywhere, beautifully crafted, like dark kind of areas. And Aiden at one point had gotten very excited because a section of it, he just started seeing just rows of bones, like the tunnels under Paris. Like
Nice.
this is where they used to bury their dead.
Nice.
Boy, Aiden knows me a lot of favors.
Yeah.
Which might be why we're here. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay.
So,
As you continue scanning the room,
Yes.
pretty much everyone here you recognize. A few humans, elves, half elves. There's a halfling. There's one dragonborn that you do know, very old, venerable, named Tony.
Okay. And right, who did you say the missing guy was?
Sheer. His name is Sheer.
Sheer. Okay.
But that's two E's in Sheer.
Okay.
And then off to the side, looking like they were put through like some kind of wood chipper. Is two dragonborns just keeping to themselves, not looking around.
Ooh, wood chip
More than
dragonborn.
necessary.
Okay.
And you can tell, you just think to yourself, knowledge local?
Yeah. Should I roll that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Should I do that too?
You don't have knowledge local. I don't believe.
Aw. Oh, true. Right. My bad.
Okay.
That must be them. As it just kind of whispers to you, giving you a small bonus to that roll. And you
Okay,
kind of
thanks.
nod, and you know it's them.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess Griff will walk up and just say, "Hello there. You just arrived?"
Go ahead and describe your character if you want to them as you walk up to them.
Oh,
Oh, before this, should I be walking up with you?
you don't have
You
to.
go towards him. He's like, "Wait, should I go with you?"
Yeah.
I mean, Aiden doesn't have to. He wants to just
Okay.
get at the table. I mean,
I'll just like stay at the bar or something.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to take more risk than necessary.
Right.
That's how I would put it. So yeah. He's Griff is he's got brown hair and he looks to be about 6 feet tall. You're not quite sure, but it's in that range.
5'12".
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. He's got normal eyes for the region, which I'm gonna guess are probably like brown or grayish. I'm gonna guess. And other than that, he's wearing what appears to be a decently nice suit, though it seems a little dirty from being outside.
Like
and
a
he's
door-to-door salesman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay.
he's yeah, and he's got some really, really thick boots because of the environment in the city isn't great. So they're probably just just try to be more prepared essentially. Out of character, they're thieves bullet they're thieves boots. They're a little obvious, but And other than that, yeah, that's him. He's got a cloak as well. As he approaches the table, he's probably got a slight smile on his face.
Corinne looks up, kind of with she had literally just stuffed a mouth into her maw, and she quickly finishes it and swallows and gives him a tentative smile back. Hello, how can we help you?
Well, we don't get visitors much, so I was wondering if you could just, tell me anything about what's been going on outside of town.
And what makes it your business?
Papa, it's
well-
wet.
Griff will just say, well, it is actually one of many parts of my business, I suppose you could say.
Corinne kind of looks at him in his strange futuristic suit.
No, they're fairly common.
Oh, they are? Okay.
Yep, they're what like upper class merchants and like noble people wear.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I still think it's strange. But meh.
I think a dragonborn would look very good in a suit. Start making NPC dragonborns with suits.
Just to fucking troll me, you ass. God.
Corinne's just a simple country girl.
Yeah, Corinne is definitely a simple country girl. Well, we haven't exactly been in the loop for a while. We've been traveling.
Oh, anything you've maybe picked up on would be useful.
In regards to?
In general, perhaps you wouldn't happen to know anything about the that cart that just arrived in town as well, would you?
No.
No.
Not a thing. They passed us on the road, that's all. Let me think. I'll make you a deal. She leans back and she gives him a bit of a smile with what Connor would recognize as some of her old fire.
Griff will raise an eyebrow. Usually I'm the one making a deal. Alright, I'll hear you out.
I will tell you whatever I know on whatever topic that you wish. If you, and here she sticks her poor dilapidated boot kind of out from under the table and waggles it muddily at him. If you can help me find new boots.
That I can do. Okay.
She gives him a great lizardy grin. Excellent. She holds out her hand. Shake on it. And yes, I actually just held out my hand to the computer monitor.
Oh my god, lol.
Griff will say, normally I would like to negotiate more, but for a pretty lady such as yourself, I suppose I can accept.
Oh,
I'll
don't.
shake your hand.
Don't. She may or may not be blushing under the scales of her cheeks.
Maybe a suit for the charming country girl.
God, no. Do not make me wear a suit, motherfucker.
Oh my god.
As you guys shake hands, both of you make a wisdom check.
Okay.
Just flat out wisdom check?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Oh. Fuck you too, Dice.
Oh, well, mine's isn't better. Oof.
There's kind of this almost strange familiarity as you guys shake hands and look at each other. And it passes quickly, and
Okay.
She
at that moment,
furrows up
the
her brow. Oh, go ahead.
indoor opens, and in walks 3 hooded, face-covered, mask-wearing individuals, less striding than just kind of floating. And you know it's bad in these situations, Griffin Aiden, to draw attention to yourselves.
Yeah, Aiden's like
Gr-
immediately just kind of like casually leans so his face is kind of looking the other way, but isn't really
Yeah.
like, you know, like
Yeah.
trying to make it
I'm
obvious.
guessing
Uh,
Corinne is familiar with these people as well.
Yep.
At least what they are. Please,
Yes.
come.
Everybody,
join-
everybody knows who
Everybody
they are.
knows this shit. Please come, sit, join us.
Griff will sit at the table, but he'll sit as far away from them as possible.
Connor, through this entire exchange, is still quite suspicious of Griff. Not easily given his trust.
Oh, I also haven't given you guys my name yet, so that's another thing.
They,
Well,
they,
yeah.
they
Yeah,
float towards the front desk, and Basti is just trying to like, she's stuck between like trying to act natural and trying to just like
Get the
not
fuck out of
arouse,
Dodge.
not arouse suspicion while suppressing that flight response. And the 3 of them walk up, and I don't know if you've ever heard like that electronic voice, like the deep throat tapes and stuff like that. Like,
Oh no. Yes.
we're going to take a look around.